Hey guys, it's Helena. So today I wanted to show you how to sew masks at home and how to make them out of materials that you might have at home. And as we know, right now is a really difficult time for a lot of people because of the coronavirus. We're all a bit stressed out and anxious. It's especially a stressful time for doctors and healthcare workers that are risking their lives trying to help those who are infected with this virus. And there's a group called Masks for Medicine, which is a grassroots organization started by New York City-based doctors. And basically they're asking for people to donate any masks and supplies, protective supplies that they might have extra on hand to donate back to, doctors that actually need them, since right now there's a low supply of protective gear. And they are also asking for people to help sew masks if they are able to, and that's what I wanted to show you guys today, is how I'm going to be using some leftover materials that I have at home and trying to make some masks to send to this group in New York, who will then distribute these masks to doctors and hospitals that really need them. So for materials, you'll need 100% cotton. I'm using leftover muslin, and any kind of string, ribbon, or elastic. I have this leftover seam binding. The first step is to find 100% cotton fabric. Is the ideal. Muslin is usually 100% cotton, which is why I chose this, and because I have leftover from school. And basically the first thing is to just iron. And you're gonna want 2 pieces to make 1 mask. So the second step is to mark out the actual rectangle for the mask, and the general size that everyone has been suggesting is 7 by 9 inches. So we're just gonna mark it out on the area that's the most clean, because there's like some marks over here. And then you can either mark it out 2 times on both pieces of fabric, or you can just layer them on top of each other, like so, and cut it out at the same time. If you're making multiple masks, you can mark out all the rectangles in the beginning at once. So I'm layering the 2 pieces on top of each other, and I'm just gonna pin it really quick in 2 spots so it keeps it together. And then I'm gonna cut both layers at the same time. So one other step before you start sewing is, now that you have your 2 pieces on top of each other, you should have the right sides should be facing each other on the inside, and you can mark out a 2-inch section. So this is the gap that you will be leaving open, and you're gonna start sewing from one point and stop it at the other end. If you've ever made a pillow before, this is like the same concept. I'm using a home machine. You can set it to a straight stitch, and I'm gonna be using probably a 2.5-inch stitch, and I'm using matching thread because I have it available, but it's not super critical. And the seam allowance is gonna be 3/8 inch, and I was just using that based off a guideline that I'm following, but I mean 1/2 inch is probably fine as well. Just remember to back tap. So now it's sewed all around the edges of the rectangle. To help with the corners, you can cut off the edges like this, and it just helps that when you turn it inside out, the corners will be a bit more smoothed out. Okay, so now I can flip it inside out from that hole that you had left open. If you have a pen, that helps get into the corners more easily. So, okay. And now we're gonna iron it. So after you iron it out, the next thing is to make the pleats. On a regular mask, they have 3 pleats here. So we're gonna do that same thing. It doesn't have to be super precise, but try to keep it even. And then you iron it. So after you have the 3 pleats in place, we're gonna take it to the machine and we're gonna do a stitch all around so that it holds down the pleats and also just secures that hole that we had before. So you're gonna wanna do this stitch a little less than 3/8 of an inch, so maybe like a 1/4 inch stitch. Just basically you wanna really close that hole and make sure these are pressed down. So I just secured the 2 layers with a top stitch around the entire rectangle. So the total amount for the string for the ties are gonna be 36 inches roughly for each side. So I'm doing 18, and then you're gonna want to fold it in half, and then the center is where you want to line it up with the center of your mask, and then that's where you're gonna top stitch here to hold it in place. And usually the bottom strings are can be a little shorter, so you can move this up like a little bit. It'll be easier to sew if you just pin 2 pins. So we just want to back tack here, and then it's gonna make a little L, turn this way, and then back tack over here. So line up the foot with the edge of the mask. So this is the front side, or the outside, where the straps are facing out. And again, the longer is on top and the slightly shorter is on the bottom. So since this is the top, we're going to put the twist tie here, and we're just gonna zigzag across it. So this is the finished product, and on the outside is where this top stitching is for these 2 ties. And then this is the inside, and the top part is where the nose piece you created is. As you know, this is in no way a replacement for certified personal protective equipment, but could be used as a protective cover over a PPE mask. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps explain how you can make masks at home if you are able to sew. And again, please consider donating any leftover supplies that you have that you don't necessarily need right now. I will link all those down below, and you can read more about masks for medicine in the description. I hope everyone is doing well during these social distancing or self-quarantine times. And yeah, thank you again so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye.